15 to 20 knots of northwesterly wind and choppy seas as the 79 competitors enter the start sequence. It's time for final adjustments and strategy decisions that'll get them through the traffic jam. The race is beamed live across the world to 7 million viewers in 190 countries by 53 broadcasters. In the IMOCA class, Charlie Dallin lives up to the favourites' expectations. The local boy flies his boat a Pivia towards the mark. Louis Burton and Davy Baudard are accelerating away on Bureau Valley, which completed the round-the-world Vendée Globe race last year.
The start was ideal because we were able to sail the whole way to Etretat without a sail change or tack, so we saved our energy. Plus, we like sailing in a straight line. That's cool. There are people along the cliff tops of Etretat, and there are people on the coast, so it's nice. It's beautiful. Anyway, here we go. About 15 days at sea.
In the Class 40s, Redman is showing its speed by keeping up with the big IMOCAs. Also in the front charge, one of 3 all-female crews on La Boulangère Bio, Amélie Grassi and Marie Rioux. Everyone's strategy, it seems, is to make as much distance as quickly as possible before the incoming high-pressure zone forces them to move closer to the coastline.
We are off the coast. Those are the lights of Cherbourg that we can see, and we are going at 30 knots. Look, there, 32 knots. Not bad, huh?
Then came the first shock of the race. Late evening, Louis Burton and Davy Baudard hear a loud crack. A quarter of an hour later, their fears were confirmed when Bureau Valley's carbon mast explodes.
Of course, we're very sad. Now we're finally on land, we'll try to understand what happened. But the adventure goes on. That's what we do. We're sportsmen and women. We have to know how to bounce back, and we will bounce back. So chin up. We'll get things fixed and come back stronger. Thank you for your support.
As the other crews found their race rhythm, night drew in and the wind disappeared. In the middle of the night, just as the wind died, the big sprinting trimarans reached the tip of Brittany. The currents here between the Atlantic and the English Channel are notorious. Stuck between Ushant and Malène, Gitana finds herself going backwards.
The wind gradually dropped, and when we tried to pass Ushant, we stopped completely and started going backwards. We were with SVR and Banque Populaire, so we tried to pass north of the island, and now we're trying to go around it. But we've stopped again. Contrary to popular belief, this is what the Bay of Biscay looks like in November. There is a friend to keep us company.
The lightness and manoeuvrability of the Ocean 50 allows them to speed up more quickly and use every breath of wind. It also meant they suffered least in the erratic conditions. Xavier Macaire and Erwin Leroux, the 3 times winner of the Transat, led the class in its attack on the all-teams. However, the season's in-form boat, Leighton, had a few misfires early on.
We're happy to have a bit of wind. It's been a while since we've seen any. We're seeing a new friend too. We were a bit down at the start, but we are seeing Arkema again, who's just ahead, so that's cheering up. Eating a bit and sleeping cheers us up too.
There was no chance of the Imocas foiling. For them, it was about not getting stuck in the dead zone.
There is no wind. Here we are with Fortinet Best Western, a top-of-the-range foiler stuck to the water, nailed to the runway.
Not going backwards and escaping the dead zone was everyone's priority. Coram tried something to bypass Ushant before changing her mind and rejoining the pack alongside Linked Out, 11th Hour Racing Team and Charal.
Hello everyone, welcome to Apivia in very calm condition on this Monday evening. The start of the race has gone well for us. We're very happy with our start and now we're heading south, hoping one day to find some wind.
In the Class 40 fleet, we'd been promised an ocean race with a coastal race feel, and that's what we got. Never has a transatlantic race been disputed so close to the coast. The fleet chased every puff, played with the tidal changes, and searched out the least strong currents, even if it meant skirting the coastline. The leaderboard ebbed and flowed with the spring tides. At the front were the experienced coastal racers. The Class 40s were caught in the high-pressure zone with no prospect of escape. After such hard work, it was time for a first hot meal.
Table 64, s'il vous plaît.
C'est trop bon.
La bouche pleine.
On cuisine, forcément, à bord du bateau Émile Henry à Pivot. On vous fait des bises, à plus.
Monday night and some Class 40s are caught in the current and have to use their anchors to avoid going backwards.
I'd like to make clear that what you're about to see may offend viewers of ocean racing shows.
Tuesday morning and the weather's improved for the all teams. They must take advantage and head down the Spanish coast as fast as possible. The aim? To pass Cape Finisterre and cross the ridge of high pressure that's blighted their progress.
Now we'll concentrate on passing Cap Finisterre, the only time there will be wind on this leg down the Atlantic.
For those furthest east in the Bay of Biscay, the wind picks up, launching a charge towards Cape Finisterre. A few hours later, Gitana flies past the tip of Spain, averaging nearly 27 knots, but she gets still faster, later that evening hitting 33 knots. Sedebo's hanging on. Thomas Coville is only 5 miles behind. Actual is 25 miles behind in third place. SVR Lazartigue struggled to keep up, paying the price for a series of time-costly jibes to get around Cape Ortega. Gabard and Le Perche are suddenly 35 miles behind. Meanwhile, Banque Populaire were paying for some poor route choices along the Brittany coast. Armel Leclerc and Kevin Escoffier had to watch their rivals pull away whilst they searched for wind. The Ocean 50 fleet were the stars of the first 48 hours. Thanks to their lightness and speed, they harassed their bigger, faster rivals, the all teams down the Spanish coast. The multi-hulls passed Cape Finisterre in the night, with Coesio, Solidaire en Peloton and Primonial all within 12 miles of each other. Behind them, though, the gaps were growing, with Leighton, Arkema and Group GCA sitting 60 miles further back.
A little siesta because it's moving out there. We're in attack mode. With a panoramic view.
Back in the middle of the Bay of Biscay, Charlie Dallin and Paul Mayat are building a significant lead over the rest of the 60-foot IMOCAs. Behind them is a chasing group that includes both boats of the 11th Hour Racing Team, Charal and Initiative Kerr, but Apivia reads the puffs well and builds her advantage. Off the tip of Brittany, the Class 40 fleet is still led by Alexis Loison on La Manche and Achille Nebu on La Motte. Speeds remain slow as the small monohulls struggle with the awkward high-pressure zone.
First time past Brittany for our little coffee plant who's doing well. And for Monsieur Crépel, it's crossing number 3.
Number 3!
Some skippers, like former skier Ivica Kostelic, spend time removing seaweed from their boat. While mountain guide Julie Rivard takes the opportunity to do some climbing.
You know the difference between a sailor and a mountaineer? A mountaineer needs no reason to climb the mast. It's fun.
Wednesday morning saw the IMOCAs pass Spain.
Sunrise on board Arkea Paprec. The wind is back. We're going to round Cape Finisterre today. We're out of the clutches of the high, at least temporarily. We've got wind, so all's fine on board.
Apivia holds her small advantage on Linked Out and Initiative Kerr. Charal is fourth. Charlie Dallin jibed several times to get around the maritime traffic exclusion zone, which he rounded halfway through the day. All the others followed him in stronger downwind conditions that saw speeds approaching 20 knots. For the crews, it meant shifting weight aft and constant sail trimming to prepare for the growing breeze. A big blow for the 11th Hour Racing Team came early afternoon when Alacaí was dismasted. Co-skippers Simon Fisher and Justine Metro were unhurt, but their race was over as they headed to La Coruña.
We demasted just before Cap Finisterre. We were about to jibe. We crashed into a wave and then the whole mast came down, and we're not still sure why. We spent a lot of time trying to save everything we could, but it was difficult. With just two of us.
Thursday the 11th of November for the all teams is spent rounding islands. First Madeira, then the Canaries, and the jibes are numerous as the fleet heads west. But Sedebo appears to be slowing down. More on that in a moment. By contrast, Gitana's speed is obvious as Frank Camas and Charles Caudrelier press the pedal and almost double their lead in 12 hours. By evening, they're over 95 miles ahead of SVR Lazatique and 160 from Banque Populaire and Actual. Then comes confirmation that Sedebo has been in trouble for several hours.
On a heurté violemment.
Something hit the starboard foil hard. It was a violent impact. Tom flew through the boat. He's battered and bruised today. We're going to stop in Madeira to see if our technicians can put the foil back in a position where it doesn't damage the hull.
De remettre au moins le foil dans une position dans laquelle il continue pas à endommager la coque. On n'a pas jeté l'éponge parce que on veut voir si c'est raisonnable.
We haven't thrown in the towel because we want to see if it's solvable first.
C'est raisonnable de pouvoir envisager
and then if the weather allows us to rejoin the party.
Si effectivement la météo nous le permet.
After repairs by the shore team, who'd arrived on site in record time, Coville and Ruxel set off again at dawn, 500 miles behind Gitana, 200 behind fourth-placed Yves Le Blevec on Actual. In the Ocean 50, Coesio has maintained a steady pace, with Owen Leroux and Xavier Macaire going full steam ahead. Behind them, Solidaire on Peloton is more than 20 miles away, and Primonial 50. but the passage through the Canary Islands promises to be tortuous. The IMOCA boats are making the most of the downwind conditions. The top 6 have increased their lead, but behind them the battle is raging between the older boats, some of which have smaller foils and are therefore not as fast. They're 180 miles from the front of the race, but are fighting at every cross, amongst them Yannick Bestaven, Damien Seguin and Giancarlo Pedotte.
Look at Prismian Group in a great Portuguese breeze. Boats fast. Look at the view. We just have to keep going straight ahead. That way.
On the outskirts of Madeira for the first time since leaving Le Havre, Thomas Rouillant on Linked Out and Jeremy Bayou on Charal managed to get into the lead when Apivia went too far east. Thursday at midday, the Class 40s finally reached Cape Finisterre. A group have decided to take a more western route, hoping to find breeze generated by the low pressure system that's approaching. Meanwhile, at the head of the fleet, the gaps are very small, positions keep changing, and for the first time since Brittany, La Banque du Le Mans, Volvo and Eden Red pull into the lead, but only 18 miles separates the first 5 boats. Saturday morning and the rankings look like this. Gitana leads the all teams ahead of SVR and Banque Populaire. Primonial has taken the lead from Coesio and Solidaire on Peloton in the Ocean 50. In the IMOCAs, Linked Out, Apivia and Charal are fighting for first place. And the Class 40s leaders are all incredibly close. The crews of the all teams, Ocean 50 and IMOCA boats are now focusing on how to cross the extensive and notoriously tricky doldrums. It'll take clever strategy and skill to get through before the big right-hand turn across the Atlantic and the final sprint to Martinique.